Hey, what's going on? Todd Shaw with another episode of the Sawdust Dude. Got a special segment for you called Splinters, Mud Buckets, and Shop Talk. Got a special guest with me today, Randy Kugler, Karting Icon. He's going to be in the shop today. We're going to make this little bench here. Sawdust Dude, thank you for joining us so much. Hey, I got a special treat for you today. Good friend of mine, Randy Kugler, former president of the World Karting Association, track announcer, go-kart racer. Gosh, super nice guy. Really, one of the best leaders I've ever met in my entire life. Learned a lot of cool stuff from this guy. And today, he's in the micro shop. So, come on in, Randy. And the crowd goes crazy. Have a seat, brother. Randy, I don't know, I probably met you late 1990s or
late
something.
90s?
Yeah, late 90s or something like that, over at the Ocala track in Ocala, Florida. And really kind of knew about you and your family through World Karting even back in the early 70s when I started like following go-kart racing. And it was kind of cool how life just kind of brought us about, and we've shared a lot of meals and stories and things like that together. But tell me a little bit about your life, really, from day one. How did the whole karting thing, and just really to where you are today?
Started around 1959. I was 5 years old, and my brother was racing something called track rabbits in Ohio, which was a primitive go-kart. And I was at the track one day, and he decided to let me ride a kart. And my first ride in a go-kart, I couldn't reach the pedals, but I didn't realize it until I got out onto the track. And so when it came into the pits, he had to grab the cart and drag it to a stop because I couldn't hit the brakes. But that was my first experience in a go-kart. I started racing when I was about 8 years old, I guess, something like that. Had some success in the 60s, won a winter national championship in Barnesville. And then raced
Barnesville, South Carolina?
Barnesville, Georgia.
Georgia, yeah.
That was a big race back then. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then raced quite a bit in the 70s, through the 70s, really. Early 80s, I ran a trucking business.
Okay.
And kind of helped my dad a little bit with WK, but didn't race too much. And then late 80s, early 90s, I got a little bit more involved with WK just to support my dad. He was president. And we lost him in 1994, and I was vice president at the time, so I became president of WK in 1994. Served as president for 13 years. I stepped away in 2007. Had an awesome time, did a lot of cool things, met a lot of great people, had a lot of support. Towards the end, things... I guess the board and I didn't see eye to eye.
Right.
In the best interest of WK, it was time for me to move on and let them take the direction they wanted to take. Since then, I've been selling health insurance and loving my life. I've got a great wife at home, Lisa. She's just been awesome to me. She nursed me through COVID back in December when I was sick, and here we are today, Todd. And when we talked about getting together, I just couldn't wait because I've seen some of your shows. They're awesome. And I've been doing the Racing with RK podcast, and I said, there's got to be a way we can work together and kind of share our memories and ideas and have some fun. So here we are. Yes,
and that's what's cool. I really enjoyed some of the podcasts, and Keith Freeber and Lynn Haddock and those guys right there. I mean, and that's when you look back from the stories about karting and the family and the connection.
Oh, yeah.
And if people have never been involved in racing, it really is. I mean, it's like an extended family.
Oh, it is. And everybody that I've talked to that's been involved in karting, I close my shows with the last question. I always say, it's the last question to say, we're going to end the podcast. What has karting meant to you over the years, and what does it mean to you today? And I guarantee you, every single one, the common denominator is family.
I bet.
And not just their blood family, but their karting family.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that karting creates, because the competitors aren't in it for the money. They're in it for the experience and the memories. And they're able to create those friendships, build those families. One of the things I used to tell people getting into karting as a family is, if you stick with it and never get to where you're obsessed with it, you'll learn how to lose by holding your head held, keeping your head up, and learning from that experience to build on the next one to do better. And you'll learn how to win humbly, because if you're not humble, you're going to get knocked off the top real quick. And that's true, it really does work that way.
In anything. And
it's I think it's a kind of a rule of life, and if you learn those two things, you'll be successful. So karting, if you allow it, karting will teach you.
Yeah. and it's a good sport for kids all the way up to adults, you know. And but I got to ask you one other question. How are your handyman skills?
Well, see, let me just tell you, even though the word handy and my first name Randy rhyme, no connection whatsoever.
Out the door.
Out the door. I'm about as handy as a fish on a bicycle. That's about how handy I am.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And you signed that medical waiver, right?
Before we get started, just if you would count with me, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to do that inventory. We're going to inventory my fingers when this show's over, and they better all be there. We're going to have some talking.
Yeah. I tell people in woodworking classes and stuff, and they say, hey, Todd, am I going to leave here with all my fingers? I'm like, hey, I promise you, guaranteed. Now, they may be in a Ziploc bag, but you'll leave here with them all.
Right.
Well, Randy,
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to build a little bench, so let's get started.
Okay. Right.
And so here's one of the first things you're going to do. These are about 12 inches wide, you know, at the widest point. Mm-hmm. And so it's about the same all the way around. So I want you to measure your piece just all the way across the top there. And we're going to do our layout for our legs.
So we're 13 there. So we're about an inch too wide.
Yeah. So 13 is fine because what we want to do, we want to get the center. Now take your log and flip it over. So it's laying face down like that. Yep. So from in there, now half of 13 is 6.5. 6.5. All right. So go across the width from here at the bottom and just measure 6.5.
All right.
And then make a little small mark. There you go, small mark.
Oh, it's not real small.
Yeah. Because remember, you got to sand
I
that
wrote
off
small mark. Is that what I was supposed to do?
Right. Yeah. So we're marking your tires. Flip it around and do the other end. Same thing. Because it was basically the 13 inches. That's a 13-inch log, obviously. And we just want the half.
All right. On the money.
On the money. All right. So from here, I got the half, and I'm going to use this. This is a Swanson Speedy Square. And so just kind of line up where my center mark was. And I'm going to go up this scale on a 90 degree, and I'm going to transfer that mark up here. Do it on this end as well as this end over here. And so you're going to do the same thing.
Both ends?
Both ends, yep. You get done with this, they'll be calling you Handy Randy.
My phone's going to start ringing for recliners, you know.
Yeah. All right, so
bunk beds.
Bunk beds, yeah. So we have our marks up here like this for the center. And then I'm just going to take this straight edge.
Wait a second.
Yo.
So my mark over here is on this side of the little split, and over here it's on this side.
Yeah.
How do you figure that happened?
Yeah, well, see, that's where the irregulars of it all. You know?
All right, sir.
These splits in the carpentry world and log cabin, those are called checks.
Okay.
And so that's just a natural occurrence right there.
Okay.
And so that's the.
So my marks are still okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
They'll be good.
All right.
So Randy, back to your marks here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I got this nice uniform split here. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. So, and I'm just going to make from A to B.
Okay.
Make a line there.
So from line to mark, but see, I think it's crooked.
Nah.
No? Don't worry about it?
Because you got center to center, right?
Sure. It's my story and I'm sticking to it.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, that's what you really have to, is so 2 1/4 in, 3 inches down. Do that on all, get 4 points, make your little X, and we'll get going. You got your own pencil now. You've been promoted.
So I'm going to go
down 3 inches.
Down 3.
Yep.
And I'm going to go in 2 1/4.
2 1/4, yeah. And there's the other little mark there.
Well, that's okay. But I'm going to come out here 2 1/4.
2 1/4.
All
yep.
right.
And make you another little mark. So there's 2 axes, and then you just make a X marks the spot. So you kind of transfer that 3-inch line over, and there you go. And do the same 3 more times.
So 2 1/4.
3 inches down.
Oh, 3 inches down and 2 1/4 in.
In, that's right.
3 down. And then 2 1/4 in. Well, now it's all backwards.
Yeah.
All right. 2 1/4 in.
2 1/4 in.
I'm doing it backwards, aren't I? I should be doing 3 with the
No,
other.
you have visualize 3 inches down, and then that way you're marked.
Let me tell you something. When we do this show,
Yo.
I'll be smarter, but you'll be dumber. Because I'm going to suck some of the knowledge you have, and I'm not going to replace it with anything. Just giving you a heads up. That's all.
All right.
Don't come crying to me after this happens.
Since there are just leftovers, so we're going to use our little jig here, and we're going to use this Fortner bit just to kind of get our angle. Once again, our 2 1/4 and our 3 inches down, and just drill in straight away like this. Now, here's the disclaimer. We may sit these on the ground. This thing has the tendency to become an airplane propeller.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
funny you say that because that was crossing my mind.
yeah.
So you're going to stand on it while I do this?
No. Now, so anyway, these are called little bench dogs, and this hole's all in the bench. It's not because of me drilling through here, but
so he says.
Yeah. So he says. So we place this down, and so that kind of becomes a break all of a sudden.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of like a jig, and so when you're welding up a go-kart frame, here we go.
Yeah.
So you'll drill a little bit down, kind of pull it back out, get all the shavings out, go down a little bit more, and we want to go down probably about 1.5 inches, about the length of that tenon on there. Okay. So we're gonna hook you up here. You're gonna find your little marks.
I'm so about this. Oh.
All right.
And we get this done. Todd is going to give it the test. He's going to sit on the bench to see if, in fact, it works.
So let's just give this a test drive here and just kind of, I'm going to show you here. So just kind of grab that and feel the pressure, and then feel how that's going to kind of jump around. You want to watch your man parts there.
All right, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, you see that?
Yes, I can.
That's funny right there. I don't care who you are.
Okay. All right. That's
oh,
good.
look, I drilled a hole through the bench.
Yeah. Now hit this button back here. This button with your thumb, and it'll reverse now. There you go.
All right.
Now you can see how much, that thing bites. It's got a lot of torque. You talking about hooking up into turns? That's it right there.
Like falling off a bike, and believe me, I've fallen off a bike plenty of times.
All right.
Why?
Because
Why are you getting out of the way?
I don't know, I'm getting my work out of the way here because you're about to make a mess, I can tell. So here we go. All right, so from here, got her, was that the right angle?
Yeah, do we have the bench dog in place?
No, we don't yet. So we'll put one right here.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And so there's your mark there. So you want to kind of get centered
and I want to be parallel to...
Yeah, so just kind of eyeball it here.
All right. What do you think?
I say you hit it. Spin it around the other way and hit that button.
I was just seeing if you were watching.
Yeah, right. we got it.
Good job.
Yeah,
right.
You got it?
Excuse me, sawdust, dude.
All right, there you go.
All right.
Now,
how we doing so far?
Good. Kick that back in a little bit. Yep. So. And then pull it back out. You see how that bit gets clogged up? There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Do I need to dig this out of
here?
here?
Yeah, you can.
This is where the splinters come in, by the way.
That's right.
Well, wood's hot.
Yeah. And two, there's, even these logs have been in the kiln, they've been dried, there's still moisture inside that log, and that's what a lot of these checks come from. He's learning. There you go.
What kind of depth we want?
You want about 1.5 inches.
You're getting pretty close, probably.
Yeah. And one of the things you can do here is even like you can see on another job I've done. See that little piece of tape there?
Yeah.
So I've marked on there. So I want it about where that tape is. And you can always just take one of those tenons and just pop it in there. Yeah. So about a 1/2 inch more and you'll be there.
All right.
That's you right there. Now.
I know you didn't want to use the word perfect, but I'm just saying.
Well,
that is so close.
We're still holding off on the perfect.
All right. Okay. Uh-oh, what'd I do?
Nah, that was just Hey, here's a little trick for you. That bench dog is kind of riding up a little bit. These bench dogs sometimes, they make them taller, but sometimes it's just back again to the same thing. If you'll just take a piece of string and just kind of wrap around it like that, then that way it rides up. See how that works?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
Little trick there. So you know where your mark is?
I think right about there. Looks like it there, I think.
And then we'll just let me make sure this. There we go.
All right. Yep, that's it. All right. What am I doing wrong every time where I...
Those shavings are just got moisture in them and they gum up around that.
Okay, so that's not uncommon for that to be hard to get it out of there. Okay.
No, not at all.
Maybe one more should do it, huh?
Yeah. Especially when you get down there and there's more moisture and sap in that log, it just wants to stick. Oh, that's perfect.
Huh?
Yeah, that's perfect, man.
Sweet.
All right. Now you're done with your drill. Take on and clear off your work area. Not you.
Oh, sorry.
The work area.
What? Oh, the work area.
You're still gonna get dirty.
What? Where do I just sweep it on the floor?
On the floor, yeah. Yep.
Then I have to sweep the floor up later.
Right.
I'll be getting splinters out of my hand then.
That's right, yeah. What do you think so far, man? You feeling good about yourself?
Telling you. Yeah. Hope my wife never watches this. She'll think I'll be able to build something.
But you can. See, that's the thing.
Oops.
Yep.
Do you want me to go straight down on it now? Or?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There you go. Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Now what you can do is come over here and look now, and you see, you just can't see that little part right there where that was where it was flat. That's a perfect cut, man. What can you say? Perfect cut. So, you think you can do the other three like that?
Kidding me? With my eyes closed, but don't worry, I'll keep my eyes open.
Yeah, please. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's do that. Sit that up there. Kind of guide up your line. Yeah, I think that looks good there.
That's good?
Yeah, make sure you. Yep.
You like that?
Yep, I think so. Man, I'm telling you.
Good teacher. This end, right? No, wait.
Yeah. That's it. Right. Make sure it's sitting flat on the deck and everything. There you go. See, that one's kind of got a wobble. There you go. Oh, man, see? Oh, you got it. I was about to tell you to turn around and you did.
What do you think about that?
So I think, I need to cut it. Yep, I see honeydew projects.
No.
Ahead for you. Numbers right and everything.
All right. Oh, man. I think my IQ jumped about 20 points today.
Well, you're about to learn something new.
Yeah, which means it doubled.
Well, flip old Bessie over and see what you got.
I got him backwards. Oh, that's funny. You're a funny guy.
Oh,
yeah.
we gotta do that. So anyway.
Yeah.
But you know what? You learned something, didn't you?
In Ohio, that's how we do it. Then we spin them around.
Yeah.
After. You don't do it that way?
No. Anyway.
Oh, well.
Oh, but you know what?
I guess you learned something, didn't you?
Yeah.
Should I maybe not do it like this?
No. Hey, you know, it's all about learning. You know,
so this is called an Adirondack rocker.
Yeah.
2 of the legs are flat to the ground. The other 2 are angled.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you don't stub your toe on this. I like that.
See? Would you
look at old Bessie?
Oh, Bessie.
Man.
She's looking good.
Man, I tell you what. And look, they're good. They're straight up and down.
Unique.
I'm telling you what, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Sweet.
Well, just your last step is really just kind of sanding everything down, and that'll be a good project. Randy, well, good job, and I like that you. See, that's the cool thing about woodworking. Bessie, your stool.
Count with me. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. I lost count.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. And they're all still on your body and not in a bag, so that's
and
great. My favorites is Sammy Hagar and Rock and Roll Road Trip. And Sammy does this thing called This or That.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to answer just straight up. And I knowing you for all these years, this is going to be tough. So
now, is it just a simple yes or no? Do I need to just give you a short explanation?
We'll expound on it a little bit. We
All
just kind of let it go where it goes. Okay, so
Okay.
it's this or that. So here we go. Man, this is gonna be tough. You ready? These are I'm gonna start off with fast pitch, and I got a couple slow pitches in there for you.
Okay.
So here we go. This or that. Daytona 500 or the Indy 500.
Well. That's a close one because I have just a great passion for both of them, but probably by a whisker the Daytona 500. My first Daytona 500 was 1963. Tiny Lund won it.
Oh yeah, car 55.
Yeah, and Johnny Rutherford was there in Smokey Unique Chevy, and he's a rookie.
Yeah,
and I became a Johnny Rutherford fan that weekend because he darn near won the 500. But the Indy 500, I used to listen to as a kid on the radio.
Yeah.
My son and I are going to the Indy 500 this year.
Wow.
Hopefully, if they have it.
Yeah.
So, by 1/100th of a second at the line, the Daytona 500 over the Indy 500.
Wow, you surprised me on that one. You surprised me because I know you're a big open wheel guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about this because when did and a lot of people may not know this, especially if you don't follow karting, but Kart Week, which happens in Florida at Daytona, it's really kind of like 3 go-kart races in one.
Mm-hmm.
When did all that get started and how? Because it was the world's largest go-karting event, is that right?
Right. In 1971, WK was formed. And in 1972, they started having their first events, and they developed a presence in Florida. And there was a fella in Florida by the name of Joe Grubbs, and he and my dad were good friends. And I wish I could remember the fella's name, but he said, listen, I know a guy that's really good friends with Bill France. I'm not talking Bill France Jr., Bill France Sr. He said, I think I can arrange where you and I can get in front of him and pitch a go-kart event at the Speedway.
Wow.
My dad says, just tell me when I'll be
71.
there. So this would have been 73 because the first race was 74.
Okay.
So, sure enough, he lined it up. My dad and Joe went in there, and they pitched it. Bill France Sr. loved it. Came to one of our banquets to speak.
Wow.
And 1974, at that time, it was just what we back then called enduros, but it was just on the Speedway.
Yeah, big laydown cars.
And a year or two later, they actually started having dirt races at the old municipal stadium before Memorial Stadium was built.
Right.
And so they used to run midget races there in the 60s. Yeah. We'd go watch them. But so they had go-kart races there. And that was the 2 events. And then, of course, it grew from there. We built a sprint track. The Memorial Stadium had a lot of big dirt races. And now it's all there, the sprint race, the road race, and they built a dirt track outside of Turn 1 at the Speedway. So all 3 events for Kart Week or on the Daytona International Speedway
Yeah,
complex.
over where the old dog track used to be.
Correct, exactly where the dog track used to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a huge event. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I remember one time, for whatever reason, the Kart Week was kind of fragmented and was even like not going to be there. And I'm trying to set this up for you, see if it jars a memory. But it's like the Daytona Chamber of Commerce came in.
Yeah, so what happened? But the businesses in the area of the speedway and on the beach, when the holidays rolled around, says, where's our go-karters?
See, that's what I heard. That's
a fact.
Yeah.
So the speedway reached out to us the next year and said, listen, we got to come back to the table. Let's figure this out. And we did.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. I can't remember what year it was. It would have been late 90s, early 2000s probably.
Yeah.
It was just that one year, and we both kind of scratched our head and said,
yeah,
screw that up. Let's not do it again.
Right.
And we developed, to this day, a solid relationship with the speedway again. There was a little bit of transition when my dad died. I had a relationship there, not like my dad did, so I kind of had to do some rebuilding, and there was some ill feelings on a couple things that happened that I didn't really have control over, but I was still accountable and responsible for. But it all got worked out, and the rest is history. I mean, it's still an event like no other.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's what really just kind of got me. I remember that story, and because a lot of people say, it's just go-karts, it's just go-kart racing or whatever, and they kind of blow it off and dismiss it a little bit.
No, it's the speedway did. The local college actually did a study of the economic impact of Kart Week, the 24 hours, Speed Week, and Bike Week.
Yeah.
And of course, unbelievable numbers for those events. But there was like a $5 or $6 million economic impact.
Wow.
In Greater Daytona.
Because of Kart Week.
For Kart Week
at
its
amazing.
peak. So everybody realized, listen, we've got to make this work, and we did. I mean, we both gave in a little to make it work, and was better for it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things too. And we'll go on to the next one here. But as leaders, I mean, you're always learning. Yeah, you're gonna make mistakes, and so it's always rebounding from that.
There was fault and responsibility on both sides.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that we realized our mistake, and we came back to the table and we figured it out.
Yeah, and the business were like, "Where's my money?"
Where's my money? That's right.
All right, here we go. Number 2. Good for you on that one. That's awesome. Number 2, man, this is gonna be tough. AJ Foyt or Mario Andretti?
I'm gonna say Mario Andretti.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. There's AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti.
You really can't pick.
Well, but I think I've got a sound argument for
All right,
Mario.
let's hear it.
AJ, open wheel, came up through the dirt, Indy cars, won the Daytona 500, won at Le Mans. Mario Andretti, same path. Now AJ's won 4 500s. Mario's only won 1.
Yeah.
He had a couple bad luck took him from him. But Mario's got one thing on his resume AJ doesn't. A world championship in Formula 1.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I got to lean towards Mario on that one.
Yeah.
He just turned 81 the other day.
Wow. Yeah. I tell you what, and it's one of those things where you talk about racing and the people and let's just turn this into a name dropping thing, not that we're dropping names, but you talk about karting, especially with World Karting, it's the foundation of motorsports, and people are like, that's just a little tag phrase they use, but no, it's for real. I mean, think about the people who've come up through karting.
Yeah.
I mean, so go ahead and throw out some names.
Well, I think all you have to do is go back a couple weeks ago, Michael McDowell.
Yeah.
Michael McDowell's a WK graduate. I still talk to his dad on Facebook a lot, and Michael's kind of in a mid-range to underfunded team, but he's persistent. He's a hard worker. He wins the Daytona 500.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Yeah, Ryan Hunter-Reay is a graduate out of the Gold Cup, strong on Indy cars, won a championship and won the Indy 500. I mean, the list just it's endless, and I think it speaks well for what karting can do. We used to say, I think our mission statement was, providing a safe and fair environment for the beginner, hobbyist, and future stars of motorsports. Whether you're getting into motorsports, whether you want to stay with us or you're moving on, this is where you need to be for now.
Yeah.
And I think it's proven over the years in any form. You look at Europe and Formula One, it's the same thing. Karting, even more so probably in Europe and in Formula One, they've all got karting on their resumes.
Yeah. And I looked at karting one time. I read another thing. It was like 80% of the professional drivers came out of karting. I mean, you look at Tony Stewart, Danica, came out of karting. Gosh, Indy 500. I was like, okay, who do I pull for?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these kids, I mean, Santucci,
Santino Ferrucci.
Ferrucci,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Of course, Marco. I remember him.
Andretti.
Marco Andretti.
Colton Herta, Brian Herta. It's in NASCAR. It's changed a little bit through nobody's fault, not through the fault of karting, but short tracks have junior late models now.
Yeah.
And it's the irony of it all. They'll stick a kid in a stock car at 12 years old. It just drives me crazy, or younger, and he'll go out there in a stock car and run 60 miles an hour around a closed course. But he's got to wait to be 16 before he drives a car.
Yeah.
No, how about he can't get in a stock car till he can drive, till he's licensed to
Yeah.
drive a car. But that has pulled kids away from karting and put them into a late model prematurely.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it backfires on them because they're not ready.
Right. Good stuff, man. Hey, one of my favorite. I remember I wasn't a lot around open wheel racing, but my pick would, and it's tough, would be AJ Foyt. Because of the 4 wins. I remember watching that like 78, 79 on ABC Wild World of Sports, and he ran out of gas on one of the laps and came back and still won. And I remember, Jackie Stewart, AJ, how did you run out of gas? Oh, whose fault was it? Mine. It's like, and that was just great memories. And but yeah, I mean that's a good one.
And AJ, between his 3rd and 4th win, it was a span of about 10 years.
Yeah.
And he came back and won it again. So, listen, there's taking nothing away from AJ. I just think if it comes to a resume, Mario's got one more.
But that F1, that's big.
And it was back in the 70s, and it's the last Formula One champion from the United States.
Yeah. Here's a slow pitch for you. Seinfeld or Andy Griffith Show?
Oh, that's not a slow pitch. That may be the hardest one yet. That's almost a dead heat because you got Andy Griffith back when I was a kid and Seinfeld, in later years. But I don't know. As much as I love Kramer and the whole cast of Seinfeld, I really believe when the chips are down, if you need a laugh, if you had that off day, and you need a laugh, you got to go with Andy Griffith, because even though they were all actors, I think with Andy Griffith, they were selling the part.
Yeah.
With Seinfeld, they were selling the part, but you knew they were all acting. You knew right then, no, they're not this great. But with Andy Griffith, you're thinking, there probably is a town in North Carolina with these people, right?
Yeah, in fact, it's right down the road.
Yeah, I know. So again, these are close ones, but in an almost dead heat, Andy Griffith.
All right, back to go-kart racing. 2-cycle or 4-cycle?
Boy, where's the slow pitch? There isn't any. No.
Yeah. Maybe the last one. Okay.
Well, in back in the days of President WK, this would have been a hard one to answer. But I would say this. I raced, my entire karting career was 2 cycles.
Yeah.
So I'd probably lean towards 2 cycles. But I will say this, and this is with all due respect to 2-cycle karting and racers. I've got good friends that race. I got good friends that are promoters. There's a program right now called the 206 with Briggs and Stratton. And it's a 4-cycle. And for entry-level grassroots, it's growing by leaps and bounds, and it's doing as much to feed karting as anything. So you're asking me today, I would give a slight edge to 4-cycle racing.
I tell you what I always liked, and especially when I started working with you guys, I was always, brought up around dirt, 4-cycle racing, Briggs racing, But I tell you, one of the things that when I got around road racing, and of course the 2 cycles. My 2-cycle experience was all motorcycle.
Yeah.
But to see go-karts, 2-cycle, I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool, and a road course racing, and that's what really opened my eyes. So yeah, I'd be kind of 2-cycle, but I still think my favorite type of go-kart racing was the Gold Cup.
Oh yeah. Very passionate, very family oriented.
That was, to me, and probably not number-wise the biggest in the brand back then, but I don't know. Like I said, the families, when you think about the Larsons and Andy Van Cleef and those guys like that, and the list kind of goes on and on and on. I mean, and plus, it was a good style of racing. It was close.
Tuesday night of this, just a couple days ago, I did episode 20 of Racing with Arcade with Justin Bonsinor, who's the reigning NASCAR Wheel and Modified champ 2 times. He's been the NASCAR Wheel and Modified champ. huge Gold Cup racer.
Yeah.
And we talked 90% karting, 10% wheel and modifieds. And he just couldn't stop talking about his karting days and the Gold Cup and how much he remembered about it, how much fun it was, how family oriented it was, how he still has friends to this day because of the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
How he started out, they crashed and they hated each other and they became friends, and now they're lifelong friends.
Yeah,
so I agree. The Gold Cup is gone in WK, but the memories and the history of the Gold Cup will live on forever, for sure.
That was good. All right, man. Here's the last one: Days of Thunder or Talladega Nights?
Talladega Nights.
Yeah. Woo!
And here's why. And this, to me, is not even close.
Yeah. Okay.
Days of Thunder, if you don't know NASCAR and stock car racing, you could almost halfway buy into, are they serious?
Yeah, right.
Talladega Nights, you know from the time that movie starts, it's a hoot. And no, they're not serious, but man, don't go away because you're going to miss something.
If you're not first, you're last.
You're not first, you're last. Shake and bake, baby.
Woo! Shake and bake.
So Talladega Nights, and that's a half a lap win.
Yeah,
That's a half a lap margin on that one.
Yeah.
That's not even close.
And you know what's amazing about, the Days of Thunder, and I agree with you on that one probably, and I remember, and I love watching racing on TV. People really don't understand. People like Randy and I, we love racing so much, we could capture 2 flies, throw them in the toilet, flush, and we'd sit there and watch to see which one goes down first.
Right.
And so when you look at something like those 2 movies, and I remember as a kid watching, there was a little documentary. It was motocross, but it was on Any Given Sunday.
Yeah.
Was the name of the documentary, and it was just cool. But the thing about Days of Thunder when it came out, and I knew some people involved in it. You're right. It was almost like, well, is it real? But then being involved in racing, they really stretched that.
Yeah.
But I just recently learned how involved Rick Hendrick was in really making that.
Oh, yeah.
He put up a lot of cars and money to make that
He tore
happen.
up a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you'd have to know NASCAR to understand, but Harry Hyde, Tim Richmond, they're all roles in that movie.
Yeah.
They portrayed their lives.
Yeah.
And so nothing wrong with the movie. I enjoyed the movie, but Talladega Nights is just a hoot.
Yeah. It's kind of like, making fun of your own self,
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Randy, this has been awesome, man.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Man. Oh, this is just great.
Dude did an awesome job on this bench. One of the best people I know in the whole wide world. So, hey, thanks for watching the episode of the Sawdust Dude. If you like it, check it out. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up about that. And also, check out Randy's podcast, Racing with RK. And it's your website, racingwithrk.com.
Yep.
And a lot of cool, especially like throwback racing. And so make sure you want to check that out. Hey, thanks again for watching the Sawdust Dude. I'll see you real soon.